tonight's episode was, I was crying my eyes out. It was so beautifully done. It must have been nice for you to kind of get to work with Michael again and be part of that situation again, because obviously we haven't seen that in a while.
It's always great. I mean, listen, Michael is one of my favorite actors to be around. You know, he's so natural. He's so good. He gives so much of the work. He and I work very similarly. He's one of those actors that honestly, it's much like Mandy. I just have to learn my lines, show up, look him in the eyes, and perform the scene. You know, because it comes out so honestly from his performance, from my performance with him. It's a treat. It's really a treat, and it's also great to be back on screen with Peter and Laura, who play our parents. You know, it's always fun. I dig that age of Jack too. It's you know, younger Jack, pre-Vietnam Jack, and of course, you know, some post-Vietnam Jack. So,
how do you emotionally prepare for that section when you get the script first thing? Like, all right, I got to prep these days for that age. How do you kind of focus on that?
It's a little more. It's not so much emotional preparation because I played him before. It's a little more like, you know, I got to shave a little tighter. I gotta put my eye patches on when I'm going into work. I got to make sure I set my hair a certain way so it's easier for Michael Wrights, our hair department head. You know, that's a little more the preparation. I guess a little more physical preparation, but the emotional preparation, much like playing Jack in his later years, for me, it's always just be present. Literally, it's like, you know, job number one of an actor is learn your lines. Once you learn your lines, you're free to experience what they're experiencing when the cameras are rolling. So for me, none of that ever changes, whether I'm playing Jack in his 20s or Jack in his 50s or imaginary Jack in his 70s. So, yeah, it's just, it's fun. It is nice to always play the various versions of him.
Yeah, definitely. Have you been, I don't know if you can say this, have you been able to play Imaginary Jack again anytime?
Oh, you know what? I haven't, but I can't say that I won't. Yeah, I mean, listen, you know, COVID protocol is a little challenging this year. I know when Mandy and John Huertas have done the age makeup, and I know Sterling has done it this season, you know, they try to really, production is trying to limit that just because it takes so much time to get on and take off. And at the same time, you know, we have to have very specialized makeup artists to do that work. So, you know, which means extra testing and all of that. So, you know, we're doing our best within the parameters of everything that we're working with. Morale is still pretty high, even though it's been a long season, and we're getting toward the end of the season. But the crew's doing well. Everyone's happy to be working, and still plugging away, doing good.
I mean, last time we talked, the season hadn't premiered yet. Have things loosened up a little bit because the world is kind of opening yet, or not really? It's still pretty strict.
No, it's pretty strict, you know, and I think, you know, listen, what's been nice, particularly this week on set, is starting to hear some of the crew getting vaccinated and starting to understand that that step has been taken to add that extra level of safety. You know, I mean, look, the vaccine isn't wiping out this virus, but what it is doing is taking away the threat of serious illness. So if I know that, you know, Tony or Michael or any of the boys that are in the electric department are going to be safer, or, you know, my grips or my makeup teams, anyone, like the entire crew is going to get one level more of safety. You know, I think we all are on board to do that.
Yeah.
But, you know, the protocols, everyone's got masks on. When the actors take our face coverings off, shields come down, and that's to protect them from us, because, you know, we could be releasing our virus if we did that. But also, I think everyone understands that this is temporary.
Yeah.
We got to fight through it. We got to do what we can to keep the crew safe, keep ourselves safe, and know that we're very fortunate to be working and telling stories when people need a little bit of respite outside of their daily lives.
Yeah. seems like we can kind of see a glisten of the light at the end. So hopefully,
I think so.
You know,
I think so. I think, you know, we've passed a bunch of mile markers. I'm seeing a finish line. It may be a little further out, but knowing that the vaccines are becoming more available, I think it's a big thing.
Yeah.
And it's going to change the tide of what the virus has gripped all of us.
Of course, absolutely.
Places are going to open, like you were saying. Broadway's going to open. Things are going to get going. Everyone's going to come back. It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
One thing I really liked was last week they kind of dove into a little bit of Jack's struggle of how he fits in with people and how obviously financially, but socially, everything kind of. And I think that kind of brought back to how his relationship was with Rebecca's father. Is that something that we may revisit this season?
Yes, very soon, actually. Tim Matheson will be coming back, popping in. Can't say for how long, but we do see him pop up, and that does that very storyline done. It kind of does come up with between he and Jack. You know, I know that's always been something that Jack struggles with, and he never is one to put his own shortcomings onto anybody else or the things that he really struggles with, you know, and I think Jack does try to give his best, but sometimes his best maybe in his mind doesn't measure up. So, you know, we're always going to be addressing that, especially when we're looking at a younger man, which having been in my 20s, I know that experience well. I'm going into my 30s and now into my 40s where, you know, I finally understand truly like who I am and what I can offer and what I can give to not just people that I know, but strangers on the street. You know, it's an interesting thing when you kind of find your place in life.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you feel like, since obviously the show is so far in now, do you feel like at this point it's a snap of the fingers to step back into Jack when you wake up and you know you have to work that day? It's like not even like,
oh yeah, it's not a thing. The job's, it's gotten easier. It's gotten easier because I know Jack, his reactions, they're instinctual, they're not planned. When I was younger, I'd have to kind of find my way around, especially when we were jumping into, let's say, Jack in Vietnam, a younger Jack, it's like, okay, wait a minute, I haven't played this guy. I don't know how he's going to respond or react to things. But now that it's been 5 seasons and we've explored every decade of Jack that I can actually play myself, you know, thank God for Joaquin Obrador, you know, who plays younger Jack. But, you know, I know who this man is. I know who he became. I know where he came from. So nothing is a surprise to me, but what that means is I get to really lean into these experiences of playing him, and playing him maybe even with a little more wealth of character, having experienced him for so long.
Do you like that especially when you're on a series for a while, that you get that comfort? Because I assume you've had that a few times in your career, that you have that comfort of knowing this person in and out almost as well as you know yourself.
Yeah. It's and in that, trying to make sure I'm separating myself from the character. Like there's definitely been days where, particularly this season with the kind of start and stop of the schedule, the way we've had to operate because of COVID protocols, where, you know, the start into Jack is a little more difficult because I'm so used to have been myself for 3 weeks of time, you know, that jumping into Jack, it's a bit jarring at times. Sometimes I'll find myself reacting as Milo, and it's like kind of a blurry line to Jack, but then I'm like, no, that's not Jack. And even like, you know, there's sometimes I'll read the scripts and you know, the writers, God, they're so wonderful and like very studious with the way things are written. You know, like Jack doesn't say I'm going to the store. He says I'm gonna go to the store or whatever. It's like, you know, there's the Jack speak, a tone, a voice. Last night I was on set with one of our writers, and I said, and she was kind of questioning me on how I was saying something. And I was like, sorry, I was muddying it up a little too much to put it in Jack talk, because Jack, the way he talks is a little off. It's not quite properly grammatically correct. So I don't know. So some of those moments I gotta, you know, make it quicker. Like this question answer.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Well, I want to wrap up, and I want to ask you, because I think in all the years we've talked, we've never spoken about Gilmore Girls, because obviously this is our focus. But I have to ask you something, because we just talked to Matt when he was talking about The Resident, and he told us that Amy actually sat him down and told him who the father of Rory's baby was, so he knows it, but he was allowed to tell people, but he chose not to.
That's amazing.
That's something
Amy never told me.
Get that?
Amy didn't tell me, but you know what though? I didn't ask. And I feel like I still have a really, 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 really close relationship with Amy and with Dan. And I feel like if I asked, they would tell me. Like she told me the last 4 words of the series, like of what she had envisioned the series when it was still on broadcast to have been.
Yeah.
And I can't remember if that ever got out, but I know, like, I just won't speak about it because that's kind of not my story to tell. Those aren't my words to share. But yeah, no, I never knew. I don't know. Maybe I'll call Maddie and ask him, be like, hey man, so whose kiddo was it? Because like it wasn't Jess's. That was the one thing I knew. I knew it wasn't Jess's baby. I'm positive it wasn't Jess's baby.
Well, you're not in the loop, apparently. Like he was.
Yeah. No,
but it's funny. He said the same kind of thing. It's not my story to tell. I'm not going to share. I don't want to. So I think that's awesome.
Totally.
Milo, as always.
But wait a minute. I just realized. Wait, but the end. Sorry, no. What happens at the end of the 4? Doesn't she say?
Well, she says the 4, but I don't know if that was the same with the original plan.
Maybe. No, I think it was. Wait, what was it? You tell me.
No, I'm like, well, it was that she was saying she was pregnant, but I can't remember. I don't remember.
Yeah, I was like, hey mom, I'm pregnant, or something like that.
I like that. You should remember this. I don't have to. You should.
Should I, Emily? Listen. Let's really go back in history. I'm turning 44 this year. I was 24 when I did the show. It's 20 years ago. I want you to tell me about 20 years ago for you. Starting right now.
I don't think I should. It's the last 4 where I'm pregnant and I don't know. We'll have to.
I think it's mom. I'm pregnant. But she probably wrote it out. Mom, I am pregnant instead of I'm. See, I shortened it to Jack talk. It would have been 3 words.
Yeah, you did. Mom, yeah, I'm pregnant. That was it. An exchange.
There it is.
There you
That's
go.
It.
We learn something new every day.